This morning when I heard that Aaron Rodgers was on a podcast with something called an Aubrey Marcus, I said, you know what I'm going to do, not just for Loogie, not just for this audience, but for everybody who is a Jet fan. I'm going to listen to every second of this podcast because I have bragged that I'm a Rodgersologist. And the only way to be a Rodgersologist is to listen to what this man has to say, to understand this man, to see what makes him tick, to see what makes him happy, to see what makes him sad. And so what I did for all of you for 1 hour and 45 minutes of my life, I can never get back that time. I could have been listening to BT and Tiki. I could have been, talking to myself about our fantasy team. I could have called my wife on the phone while driving to work to talk about our sons. But instead, I listened to something called a Marcus Aubrey and Aaron Rodgers talk for 1 hour and 35 minutes, and I've come up with a conclusion. Here's the conclusion. He's a weird guy, okay?
You think, Evan?
He's a strange gentleman. But all he wants is love, Loogie.
Is that it?
All he wants is love.
Speaking of love, Ev, you and all Jet fans are desperate. Aaron Rodgers has come back from Middle-earth where he was hanging out with the Baggins, with Gandalf. He was smoking hookah in the cave, whatever the hell he was doing. And he's got Jet fans waiting on every single thing he says with bated breath.
Yeah, of course.
You are desperate.
Of
and
course,
I'm here
yeah.
as a friend, Ev. It's not happening. This is all a dog and pony show.
You think he's putting on a dog and pony show?
Bro, why wouldn't he just go into the darkness? If he wants to ride a flying dog in Fantasia, then go do it. Why does he have to make everything about him? Why didn't he just go on this retreat? Why did he have to say,
I have an Aaron Rodgers clip to respond to that.
Go ahead.
This is why I listen to him. So, Big Mac, can you pull up the clip where he responds to those that say, I'm sick of hearing about Aaron Rodgers, and I'm sick of the darkness retreat, and I'm sick of hearing about him, and anyone who thinks I'm a diva, here's what I've got to say about you. Can you play that clip? Because here's the beautiful thing. As a Rodgersologist, I don't have to respond for him. I could simply have Aaron Rodgers respond for himself. So here's his response to Tommy being very upset that Aaron Rodgers is putting on this dog and pony show.
If you don't like it, when you think it's drama, you think I'm being a diva or whatever, then just tune it out.
Yeah, tune it out.
How can you tune it out? It's everywhere.
Man.
It's everywhere. Aaron Rodgers is everywhere. Dude, if you want to go into the darkness, if you want to go into a dark hole, by the way, this whole idea that he's sitting there and he's like, well, I had to do this. You didn't have to do anything, bro. Have a burger and a beer and you can figure out what your life's about. If he wants to do stuff like this, that's fine, but do it where no one knows about it. He is toying with the hearts of Jet fans. You guys are desperate, right, Evan? You can't say
yeah, we know we're desperate. Well, you're not breaking any news here.
I understand that, but
well, losers too. You want to throw that in there?
No, I'm not going to say you're losers, but here's the situation. I'll give you an analogy. You ready for this? You're a married guy. You're happily married. But there's one point where Evan Roberts was a young, single guy, right? You have Derek Carr sitting there, right? You've gone on one date with Derek Carr. You have another date. What is it? Today he's meeting with Woody Johnson. That's a second date.
Right.
Nice girl, nice family, has a good living. You're going to have fun with Derek Carr. You're going to have a nice life. But then there's that sexy girl. That's Aaron Rodgers, where they could get you to the promised land. It could be nuts. She could cook your eggs after you make whoopee. But she may stiff you. She may never come here. And you're holding out hope. You're waiting by the phone for Aaron Rodgers to call. You got a girl right there in Derek Carr.
Right.
And you're going on dates. And he knows, Derek Carr knows you like this other girl.
I got an eye for somebody else, yes.
Yes.
You're spot on so far. I don't see the problem.
The problem here is this. Aaron Rodgers is a myth, is a fantasy, is a dream. It's not happening, Ev.
Well, why do you come to that? I mean, everything you've said, actually, up until that last part, you're right.
Okay.
I think we all know that. We're desperate losers. That's why we're sitting here on March 1st analyzing Aubrey Marcus and Aaron Rodgers having a conversation for an hour and a half because we all want to find out, like, is he going to play football? Does he want to play for the Jets? Like, all that's true. So, sure, you got me. We're very, very desperate. But why do you draw the conclusion that he's not coming here? Like, I listened to this for an hour and a half. I doubt you did. Maybe you did. I doubt it, though. I didn't hear a word that said, I'm not going to play football or I'm not going to play for another team. So why are you so confident that it won't happen? I'm confused by that.
Well, here's why, Evan. We all have guts, right? Some bigger than others, yours. My gut feeling is this guy is staying with the Packers, and this is all a big show. It's not happening. He's not going to the Raiders. He's not going to the Jets. He's staying in Green Bay.
What's that based on, though? Just your gut?
Just my gut feeling that this is all like for show. If you wanted to come to the Jets, why are you making this such a big circus? Why? Why not just
Well, I think that some guys, when they make a big decision like this, it's not as simple as waking up after the season ends and saying, I'm going to play football or I'm not going to play football. Now, I think most of us assume that he's going to play football. I think that's an assumption we all have.
Yes.
Based on what he said today, he's literally deciding. He's thinking about life when he doesn't play football. He did it. He spent one entire day in the darkness in which he envisioned being retired. He did. He spent an entire day imagining life as a retired guy.
Hold on a second.
And
Evan.
then he spent an entire day thinking about playing football. Yeah.
You think, all right, if you're sitting alone in the darkness, you're
Right.
Aaron Rodgers, you're
Right.
a 38-year-old dude.
Right.
You're going to spend 24 hours thinking about retirement. You're thinking about other stuff. That's number one. Number two.
Well, he did think about other stuff the first 2 days. This is day 3 of the darkness. That's when he went to retirement. He was thinking about his childhood. He was thinking about life. I mean, listen, I don't care as much about all that stuff. None of us do. But I respect that. He was thinking about other stuff for the first 2 days. Day 3, an entire day as a retired man. Day 4, an entire day playing football. Now, go ahead.
Refresh my memory. The last time Aaron Rodgers was at Lambeau Field, what happened? He got his ass beat by the freaking Lions.
Well, hold on.
You think he wants to go? No, I'm not.
jumping around
No,
here,
because
right?
I'm saying he doesn't want to go out like that. This is a lifelong Packer.
Okay, so he's playing football.
He's playing football. He said it in the podcast. I got unfinished business, right? Very vague. I feel like the unfinished business is with the Packers. He's got a beef with the Packers. And Aaron Rodgers, who's a spiteful dude, is going to stay there and stick it to the Packers
Well, the thing
by
is,
winning with the Packers.
The thing is, he doesn't have it, and this is what I find fascinating about how this is going to end. It's not simply up to Aaron Rodgers. It isn't. Like, the Green Bay Packers could decide, and trying to think of what Goonscoon said the other day, the GM of the Packers, he also said Jordan Love should play right now. Like, that was one of the comments he made. And so there's a chance that when Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers have a conversation, which is going to be soon, that the Packers are the ones who say, look, I think it's best that we move on.
How is it best
So
if they move on, Evan?
Why?
Love or Rodgers? Who gives the Packers the better chance to win over the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, no, in the short term, it's Aaron Rodgers, but you got to remember they've had him now for 2 decades. And they also need to find out what they have in this kid. Like, they're at a moment of, is Jordan Love our future or is he not our future? And if I could turn Aaron Rodgers around into a first-round pick and we kind of continue, I don't want to even say rebuild, but the reimagination of the Green Bay Packers, I can see why that makes a lot of sense. So the one thing you have to keep in mind is, and Rodgers gets this, by the way, as big of an ego as it sounds like he has, he knows that ultimately it's not just up to him. Like, and I've always said this, and I stand by this. Both parties have to agree to keep this going. And if they do, you're right. He's a Green Bay Packer. If one side, whether it's Rodgers or the Packers, say we should move on, it's over. So even if you're right that Aaron Rodgers has unfinished business in Green Bay, and by the way, hour and a half, I have no firm declaration that he does. I actually have audio that I don't think will prove he wants out, but certainly had me believing, wow, he's done. And I'll play it for you in a second. But it's a two-party thing.
Did the Packers raise ticket prices for season ticket holders?
I don't think that matters.
Why does that not matter? You're not gonna raise prices and then not have Aaron Rodgers on the field?
I think in the NFL, specifically with a team like Green Bay, your brand is so much bigger than one individual player. I think in the NBA it may be different. Even in baseball, it's different. I don't think.
Aaron Rodgers is the Green Bay Packers.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
The Green Bay Packer brand is a lot bigger than one guy.
Over the last 10, 15 years, it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but they would
He's
still,
the face of the franchise.
They would still sell out every game. They're still the Packers. You know
not
what I
if
mean?
they are 0-5. You're not going to have Packer fans in that building.
No, but going into the season, people will buy tickets.
Maybe.
You're wrong about that.
Okay, we'll
so
see
I don't
if
think,
he's gone.
No, because that doesn't prove you're right. What would prove you're right is if Rodgers leaves and they can't draw flies. Then you'd be right. Otherwise, it doesn't prove anything that they raise ticket prices by $5 a ticket. Doesn't prove anything. But here's what made me think. When he started talking about the conversation he's going to have with the Packers and how long he's been there. Now, listen to this entire clip. Because as I was listening to it, I was like, that son of a bitch is gone. That guy's out of here. So here's the clip. Big Mac looks very, very confused. Me and Connor went over it before the show. So just ask Uncle Connor. He'll take care of it. All right. The conversation with Green Bay and how long he's been there. Play this one.
I'm under contract with the Packers for sure. So if I decide to play,
By the way, can you pause that for a second?
I mean, honestly.
Hold on one second. Did anybody notice the Craig Carton sniff right out of the gate?
He did a sniff.
Not the sniff, the Carton sniff. That's like copyrighted by Craig. That's what he does. We'll be right back.
So
Well,
why?
I mean, he said it right after he said, if I decide to play. That's a very distinctive. He wanted to make sure you heard that.
Yes.
He gave the sniff pause, which is the Carton sniff pause.
That is the Carton. All right, play from the beginning. Go ahead.
I'm under contract with the Packers for sure. So if I decide to play, like first is a conversation with them. You know, where are you guys at? Like honestly, like I've been there 18 years and I have so much love for Green Bay and the organization. I mean, 18 years, that's a teenager.
Make a friggin' decision. I mean, what are we doing?
Hold on a second.
What are we?
Hold
what's
on.
the decision
No.
here?
Time out. I get very excited. That's a teenager. What do teenagers do when they turn 18 years old? What do? They leave. They say, thank you. I'm out. I'm going to college. I'm going to the University of Miami. I'm moving out. After 18 years, some people just live at
maybe
home.
in the 1950s.
What
it's
correlation is
changed
that?
a little bit. We all live in our parents' basements till at least 26, 27.
I lived till my parents till I was 30. But
Aaron
there you
Rodgers
go.
was basically saying, I'm 18, I'm a teenager. Get me the hell out of here.
No, that's how you interpreted that.
That's how I
I
interpreted
love the
it.
where he sounds like Stewie Griffin. Well, you know, I have 18 years. If I play or if I don't play. This guy has Green Bay, Vegas, and the New York tri-state area in the palm of his hand.
Yes, he
and
does.
he loves it.
Yes, he does.
He is playing. We all know he's friggin' playing. And this is where I get nuts with you, Evan Roberts.
What the hell did I do?
You sit there every day and find ways to besmirch the great Tom Brady. Yet when Aaron Rodgers does the same BS, you grovel. You're running around the halls like a schoolgirl. Oh, did you hear what Aaron Rodgers said? Can you cut up the Aaron Rodgers clips? Because you're desperate. I respect that.
Yeah, I want him on my team. What's the
want him
problem
on-
with that?
Because you look the other way when it's Aaron Rodgers and he's doing this and he could stand you up. But for Brady, you mock.
I want to make this clear. I get that Aaron Rodgers is a little different. I get he's a little strange.
A little?
And that's fine. Like, I don't need my quarterback to be non-strange. I don't need my quarterback to be my buddy. I don't need to play checkers with my quarterback. I just want the guy who gives my team the best chance to win, which he does.
But
so as crazy or weird or as different as he is, or as much as he wants to live life through podcasts or talking to Pat McAfee and explaining how he's sitting in a dark room for 4 days, which I have to admit, I find fascinating. Besides like studying this as a Rodgersologist and trying to give the information to the people listening as well as I can, I do find like sitting in a dark room for 4 days fascinating. I mean, you have to admit.
Yeah, you've never pledged a fraternity, clearly. But what's so
Why?
fascinating
Were you
about it?
pledging a fraternity and you were in darkness for 4 straight
I can't
days?
speak about that, but I'm just saying, Ev, what is so fascinating about it? It's stupid. I can't even think of a better word. It's dumb.
You're very close-minded.
Evan.
You don't find like, hey,
This
I'm
is
4
in
steps.
1850. Think about all the things that we could do in this world. You're dating Mallory Edens. You're Aaron Rodgers. You don't need to do this
Why are
for
you so
4 days.
judgmental to this guy?
Why am I so judgmental?
Yeah,
Evan, let
what's wrong
me
with
put it to you
you?
this way, and I'm not being judgmental.
Let the
'cause
guy live, man.
You are, admittedly so, weird, strange, whatever. And before
Why are you attacking me? What
I'm
the
not,
hell have I
I'm not
done?
attacking you. I'm gonna make a correlation. And prior to this show, you kind of lived in your own weirdness. You allowed your weirdness to be on the backside. You were the Evan Roberts, the radio host, and your weird things you kind of kept quiet. Why can't this guy just keep the weird stuff quiet?
Because we care.
Yeah, and he knows it.
Like, think
That's
about
the point.
this. So
he's messing and toying with you.
He's on an interview with Pat McAfee, and Pat McAfee asks him, hey, when are you going to decide if you're going to retire or not? And he gave an answer. And if you don't like the answer, you think it's annoying, then don't listen to it. I'm curious. I think Jet fans are curious only because of our interest in him being on the football team. So you follow like, okay, what's he doing now? What's he saying now? What's he doing now? And I totally get that there are going to be people that say, I'm sick of hearing about this. I don't want to hear about Aaron Rodgers anymore. And I admit the only reason I care is because I want the guy to quarterback my team. And I think he would be the guy who gives this team the best chance to win. But I have to admit, 4 days in darkness, I'm kind of fascinated by it.
What would you do in those 4 days, Evan?
Well,
Now,
one thing I would not talk about on the air I would do, but that is private.
all right, after that minute and a half, then what would you do?
Less than that.
Yeah, less than that, especially if you're hard up. Like, so what? So exactly. So you do that, then what?
Especially if you're what?
I have no idea.
Backed up, whatever.
What would I do? I guess I would think. I would think like Aaron Rodgers. I would ponder life. I would ponder presidents. I would kind of debate like, all right, maybe James Garfield was a little bit overrated. I'd think about baseball. I'd put lineups together.
You would
I'd
think
about my
baseball.
sons and how awesome they are. I think about my wife and wonder how the hell does she put up with me. I'd give Craig like 5 minutes. I think about Craig for like 5 minutes. Like, that was fun. I think about Beningo for a few minutes. I think about freaking life. But how about the fact, and I didn't realize this. This is why I do, as much as Aubrey Marcus and Aaron Rodgers bored me for an hour and a half, there were a few things I was fascinated about. Play this clip. He had to walk up steps to go to the bathroom, and there was something set up in this dark room that actually could have killed him. Where Aaron Rodgers could have got stabbed to death, and we never would have seen him play football. And yet the brilliance of Aaron Rodgers, picking up a blitz, like picking up a linebacker coming off the edge, he came up with a game plan to avoid that near-death experience.
It's 4 steps, medium-sized steps to the bathroom. Only thing I can drill you is this wall on the left here besides the bed. And then once you get to the bathtub, you take a right, and it's about 3 steps. You got to watch out for this big hook that's coming out of the wall.
Big hook?
So
They got a big hook on the wall.
Well, it's not.
That's dicey.
It was a dangerous hook, potentially, if you didn't put the towel. I put the towel over the hook. It was a towel.
Look at this guy. He knew what to do. He said, I can't get stabbed by the hook. What I'll do is I'll put a towel on the hook, so if I ram myself into the hook, I won't die. That's the guy I need as my quarterback. Bring him in.
Why? Because he knows how to survive if he's in the wilderness, lost and alone, something that has nothing to do with football.
Shows you a smart. Shows you he can think.
Yeah, Evan.
Right out of the
Call
gate.
me when the first NFL game is in complete darkness. It doesn't matter, dude. It's weird. It's unusual. And he put his you-know-what on the line where there's a hook that he could have had a situation that all of us here as males wouldn't want to be in. That's what you're fascinated
I don't
by.
mean to badmouth you because I'm sure you could survive in the woods for like an hour or so.
Evan,
but
can I
think
just cut you off real
would've-
quick? I could not survive in my apartment for an hour without my wife. So just know that. I admit that. I could not survive at all. I have no
So
life
do you think
skills.
the hook would have decapitated you in fairness?
Bro,
is that possible?
100%. I have zero life skills. Zero.
That's my quarterback. He knows, all right, there's a hook here. Before I blow out this candle and go into complete darkness, let me make sure that I don't ram myself into this hook. Can you imagine if the story ended that way? Unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers is not available to play in 2023 because he stabbed himself with a hook while he was in a
Yeah, and then the
dark
story comes
room.
out before the KV committed to the Jets. Sorry. Your quarterback got stabbed by a hook. Better luck next year.
So just to prove to you that I'm fair and balanced, because I think you feel that I'm listening to Aaron Rodgers talk to this guy, trying to rationalize why he's going to be a Jet.
Yes.
There was a clip that concerned me.
Go ahead.
You want to hear it?
I do.
All right, so this is the clip that concerns me. Aaron Rodgers' motivation to play football. Now, we could come up with a million different reasons on why he'd be motivated to play football. Getting paid a lot of money, just because he loves the game. One thing that we could definitely bring up, and certainly a reason why he would come to the Jets, because I'd make this argument, you maybe would even agree with me, that the Jets give him the best chance to win a Super Bowl. You could certainly make that argument with the talent that they have on defense. No question about it.
Sure.
You don't agree with that? That's fine.
No, that's fair. I mean, I think a lot of teams have talent, but yes, the Jets
Okay.
certainly have some nice young players.
Okay, there you go. Aaron Rodgers made a comment about would winning another Super Bowl motivate him.
Or I got to win another Super Bowl, so people, think of me in a, higher sense. Like, no, I don't need to do any of that. Yeah, I love playing, and that's a good enough reason.
That kind of scared me. You don't need to do that, Aaron? Like, I would want to hear a guy who's won one Super Bowl, and that's great, by the way. It's one more than Dan Marino. I would love to hear a guy say, you know what keeps me up at night, Aubrey? You know what really bothered me in this darkness? I only won once. And while that one was great, I had so much fun. It was fantastic. I need a second. That boils my blood to win a second. Now, he did reveal that being slighted motivates him because he mentioned that he felt slighted before 2019 and he went on one back-to-back MVPs. So the slighted thing definitely affects him. But when I heard him say that about the Super Bowl, and I want to make something clear, it's not a deal breaker. I'm not saying I don't want him.
Yep.
I'm saying that answer, when I heard it, if I'm being completely honest with you, when I heard that, I was like,
Yeah, no doubt. Evan, we've talked about it, and Jet fans have called up. They've made their list of their quarterbacks. They all have their list, right? Number one on the top of the list should be Super Bowl victory. So if you have a guy here that's not motivated to win a Super Bowl, now that doesn't mean he's going to come here, he's going to stink, he's not going to care. But if you're not hearing a guy that goes, yeah, I've lost playoff games. I've lost playoff games at home. I've lost to Brady. I'm ticked off. I'm pissed off. I got a chip. I want to bring a parade to wherever I go. If you're not hearing that and you're hearing his, prophecies on space-time continuals, then I would be really, really worried about that. And I'm not going to sit here and make any kind of comparisons to Katie and Kyrie. You want superstars, you bring in superstars. But motivation is everything, Ev. In the NFL, most teams are pretty much on even playing fields. There's the Chiefs, there's the lower bottom. It's about motivation. It's about who wants it more. You're bringing in a guy here, you want him to win and be motivated to win.
It's interesting you say that. So, and I did not cut this clip. I apologize. So just trust me, he said this. And it was kind of a view of the NFL. It's very different than what you just said. He said, you go into every year and there's about 8 teams that can win a championship. That's how he views the NFL. And he says, I've been fortunate enough that I've been on one of those teams really since 2009. That, they haven't won necessarily, but every year you go in thinking they have a chance. And as he was giving that answer, which is a very fair answer, I was thinking to myself, and this is where ultimately we'll find out where he goes. Where does he view even the current state of the Packers, the Raiders, and the Jets in that area? Like, would he look at the Jets and say they're one of those 8 teams if I'm there? And then does that even matter to him? Because if he's not going to be a Green Bay Packer, and like I mentioned to you before, it's not just him. It's Green Bay deciding. What would make him decide where he wants to go?
Well, I mean, Evan, when you look at those 8 teams or whatever, how many teams it is, what do they all have in common? Well, they have 2 things usually in common. A head coach and a quarterback. Both really good, the marriage of that.
And by the way, the Jets have neither right now.
And that's why you've been in disarray forever.
Sure.
That you would think Aaron Rodgers would be like, I would be the missing piece to pretty much any team to put them over
I
the
supply
hump.
the quarterback, so who has everything else?
Right.
This one last clip just made me laugh. And if it doesn't make you laugh, I apologize. I apologize for wasting your time. It's the clip where he talks about feeling pure love and loving the hands all over his body. Can you play that clip? Because when he said that, especially out of context. Yeah, no, he's talking about how much he loves pure love and hands. Yeah, play this one. This made me
I want to feel what pure love feels like.
Oh, boy.
That was my intention. And I did. I really did. I had a magical experience with the sensation of feeling 100 different hands on my body.
Sounds like a weekend at my
imparting
place.
a blessing of love
Yeah.
and forgiveness for myself and gratitude for this life from what seemed to be my ancestors.
That's my quarterback.
So
right
what do you have, an
there.
orgy? I mean, what is it? What the hell is he talking about? He was sitting in a dark room. He was in Middle Earth. Like, what hands were on Aaron Rodgers? Can you explain this to me? Did he have a VIP package that the hands came with? Come, Evan, you got to admit, bro,
What?
that is next level oddness right there, okay? Please.
I don't know, man. Made me laugh. Over the course of an hour and a half, there were a lot of groans coming out of me, but then there was that occasional laugh. Like, I don't know what that means, but that makes me smile. We'll get your calls coming up, 877-337-6666. There is a basketball game tonight that features a lot of pressure on one team and really no pressure on the other team. Plus, something happened in baseball yesterday that I've never seen before, and maybe it's our future. Tommy Lugauer in for Craig Carton on this beautiful Wednesday.